To all four corners at world, a proper Yorkshire welcome for you. Hey up and how do? I'm Stopheles. First of all, thanks for stopping by this video. You don't have to. Really appreciate it. Second of all, I'm starting something new today. You know, this is a new journey for me. I wanted to start with something that I've started to get passionate about, which is reading, funnily enough. I've never been a big reader. Never, ever. I mean, they're great books, aren't they? Like, they're just like movies every time. But I just never got into them. Just hard time reading, absorbing the words, interpreting them to, you know, have the fantastic imagery. And it's just never something that I've got into. So I've decided that that's what I want to do. I've been reading a bit recently, and I've started to actually picture some scenes or almost like movies inside my own head, which is quite exciting. But I thought, why not, give a different take to it, make a video about each chapter so that I can put my thoughts down and share what I feel as a novice reader, so from the lens of a brand new reader, some brand new eyes. Thanks for sticking about. Without further ado, let's get into it. Which book will I be choosing first? Great question. I have a lot of ideas, a lot of different books take my fancy. I wanted to choose one that I've not actually seen a television adaptation of, because I don't want to be swayed either way, and I know there is a television adaptation of this one, but I'm not going to watch it until I've read the books, which might take a while. Before I start getting into this, I would like to say that this is not a critique of anyone's work. I am not qualified to give that kind of feedback. I'm literally just a novice reader sharing my own thoughts and my opinions on my journey to learning things and understanding. Picked quite a comprehensive one to start with, but that's how it goes. I'd also like to add a spoiler warning that if you wanted to read this book, or if you wanted to be watch the series and don't want anything spoiling, I'm going to be going through some of the story arcs as my conversation, so kind of if you haven't read it, it's not really the place for you. But if you're not that bothered, or if you've read it before, then I welcome you, and I welcome your feedback and comments to my journey as I go on. So I've decided The Wheel of Time. My dad has been interested in this series for a long time, and I've always wanted to read it, but I just never got round to it, and I never thought I could really take in what kind of dynamic situation it was going to be. Plus, when I looked at the pages look like they are so chocker with words. They are full. I've read the prologue, and I have read chapter 1 so far. First thing that I get from this prologue is that it's such an elaborate storyline. There's so much information immediately. I mean, is that a bad thing? Maybe for a novice reader who can't keep up with stuff and has to reread the same sentences a few times. But for people who are avid readers and fans of Robert Jordan's work, then maybe not. Maybe that's just how things are. But I personally found it a lot of information. The first 2 chapters alone, there's so many characters, there's so many places, things to remember in general. So yeah, I found it quite a lot of information. Maybe that'll all come back out later on in the storyline and help me understand things, but right now it's a lot. But I did get, there's like a good and an evil, and I got that the good guy did something that he's not supposed to do, not just supposed to do, it did something really, really bad, and then a sort of like tanglement happens between the good guy and the bad guy, and then he ends up showing him the kind of evils that he's just performed, and then the good guy kind of begs for forgiveness and ends up turning into a huge mountain apparently. Everyone knows him as the dragon, so that's why the mountain's called Dragonmount. And this dark figure, you get kind of like a hatred from him, like, you know, he's the betrayer, betrayer of hope, sorry, and he's just not a good guy, and he wants people to join the bad side. And yeah, so the prologue was kind of like I mean, I get why it's there, but it's kind of like threw me off. And it's so intense. It's so intense, but not a bad thing. Again, like for someone who's just you know, able to expand their mind, I've kind of trying to relish in the moment of all the detail. Hopefully it'll carry on and I'll be able to carry on understanding it. But yeah, the prologue was a lot. 6 pages, I think it was. 6 pages of just information and raw feelings. I think that's one thing that's good, actually. He's able to bring across his emotions in the writing. It's very emotive. So chapter 1, I like chapter 1 because it's set, you know, quite simply for me. So someone who's novice, who needs things building into it a little bit, it's like how you imagine a story to start. It's called An Empty Road, and there's a few characters to start off with. So there's Rand, and there's his dad Tam, and they're really easy characters to understand. You know, the farmers primarily, in a kind of a very hostile place that, well, sorry, hostile at the moment, and every year they go from their farm to this village called Emmonsfield, and to get there they go down the old road, or quarry road. I ain't worked out which one yet. They go down a quarry road and then maybe old road, but basically they go down like this old beaten path. And you know, quite a lot of the chapter is just Rand describing that he's, you know, this nervousness, and that he sees this black clad character horse that's, you know, tailing them, and there's like the elements are against them. The wind is gushing and blowing his cape and you can't really focus, but this black clad character doesn't have any wind blowing against them, so you've got a lot of animosity and apprehension about, you know, what's going to happen. And then the second half of it is, again, you know, like the prologue, it just, you know, it becomes a huge info dump where they get to Emmonsfield, and then they're met by all of the characters that they know. So I mean, I guess it kind of works in a way that, like, they were on the road and then they got to the village, and then it's hustle and bustle of village life, and you're introduced to a lot of characters, a lot of culture, a lot of you know, intertwined things to remember, which is quite detailed for just chapter 1. I mean, I like the first half of it because it's like a slow build up, but then, I mean, I guess it is kind of a juxtaposition, because when you get to a village, it's not going to be quiet anymore, it's going to be hustle and bustle. One thing that I also forgot to mention is that the winters carried on, and it drove the bears and wolves out of their natural sort of hunting grounds into the Emmonsfield's farms, and they're taking the sheep and whatever else they can. So there's like a desperation from those animals that really kind of depicts the cold and the sort of barrenness of it. That being said, they're there to deliver their cider and brandy that they make on their farm, and in doing so, you're introduced to so many characters. So, just to name a few, you've got Whitconger, and I mean, forgive me if I'm butchering these names. I haven't actually checked the glossary, which another sign of a good book is you've got a glossary at the back of it. So yeah, Wit and Daisy Conger, and then you've got Brandelwyn Alvia, Chen Bui, or Sen Bui, correct me, Nynaeve or Nynaeve, Almira, and you've got Master Thane referenced. You've got Matrim Kauton, who's just called Matt. Then you've got Perrin Ibarra mentioned. You've got Davin Alam Dautry, and then you've got Egwene Alvia, who is Brandolwyn's daughter. So there's a few things in that you've got to depict, so that you've got a couple of family trees going there now. So you've got Tam, and then you've got Rand, and then you've got Brandolwyn or Bran, and then you've got Egwene or Egwene. All the names are very Welsh. I wonder if that's quite influenced, but there's like a very Welsh feel to it. The characters are starting to have their own story arcs. So for Rand, we've learned that like he grew up with Matt and Perrin, and that he's got a really big thing recently romantically for Egwene, which his dad even references, so it must be quite obvious. The whole town is talking about the fact that Tam is widowed. His wife died, Rand's mum died, but I don't know how yet, but they died. The whole town is talking about how they can fix up Tam with somebody, and there's quite an extensive like bit in the chapter about, you know, that even them pushing Rand to get Tam to see how fortuitous it would be for him to marry someone from the town, but Tam's, you know, quite stoic in himself, and he wants to keep on his own journey, which, you know, again could be another twist on the title. An empty road, it could reference that you know, Tam's road is an empty road. Anyway, it's interpretable on a million different ways. So I mean, in general, the writing is, like I said, intensely detailed, but it's quite fun, and it's well done. For a reader who struggles to read, there's quite a few bulky sentences that have quite a lot of commas in them, but if you just take your time with them, you'll get it, and it's actually quite a fun story so far. And I can see it opening up into quite an elaborate thing, which, you know, I'm not unaware of the fact that there's many books in the series. What are my findings? So my findings are that the writing is intense. That's number one. Number two, it is entertaining. It is very entertaining. It captures you. Someone who's got that kind of fantasy interest, it does definitely capture that. For a novice reader, I'm not too sure whether the amount of description or places and people is too much, but that doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. That just means that, you know, I struggle to keep up, you know, first read, so maybe a couple of times over I finally got it. One thing that I'll point out is that the road that they're on has ironically never been empty. So the episode title, An Empty Road, is quite apt from an ironic stance, because they're first tailed by the black clad man, and then they get to Emmonsfield, which is, you know, there's somebody on every turn, it seems like. I am looking forward to reading the next chapters. Stay tuned for watching those videos. Thanks for tuning in.